Dummy Switch Pod. The boys are back. How are you, Chris?
Yes, sir. Coders. 67 reasons to be happy, man. So, yeah, no, I'm good, man. How you doing, bro?
Good myself. The Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you our opinions, our flagrant takes,
hmm
and of course discuss
Hey, soon we're
the
gonna be
victory.
the Feinbergs. We're gonna be no, not the Feinberg, the Mngomezulus of podcasting. You know what I mean? The Limboks of podcasting. No, we need to update this thing. We need to update this thing. You know?
Not quite yet, in my opinion, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We're moving along nicely. We're moving.
Yeah, no,
uh,
we're cruising nicely.
Yeah, church announcements. Obviously, you can find us here, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and feel free to leave your comments and leave your opinion. Last round of the Rugby Championship team announcement today. I'm sure there'll be a few opinions about that. And yeah, subscribe. We're almost on 500 subscribers, and I think let's start on news of the day. News of the day is the squad announcement. The guys
Yes.
went over yesterday, and there were a few clouds in the selection in terms of you had Kolbe and Willems who were reported as injured, and then you had Toy and Hooker who they said had niggles. Ox was to be reassessed, and all those guys have come through now.
Yes.
It's Ox is back in the starting lineup. Kolbe and Willems are available starting. And the only real changes is on the bench where we see Grant Williams fit again. Mbonambi is back after family issues.
Mm.
And then you've got Jesse Kriel taking the place of Esther. And I wonder if Jesse Creel's been practicing with the forwards a bit like Esther does himself.
Yeah, look, probably not. Uh, probably, but you never know with these guys. You
Yeah.
never know with these guys. But yeah, look, overall, I mean, there's not really much. You just your feel for a guy like maybe Boan Fenta, who I thought maybe had a good one. But obviously, Ox is your marquee. He's your premier number one, the chairman. He's back to take his seat.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. Good to see the top dog back in there as well. So it's
Yeah, he's got his
I don't know.
doubters, and I don't know why he's got his doubters. I'm a big fan myself of Mbongeni. I think he adds a
Yeah,
lot to a team, and it's I mean I know his lineouts were inconsistent in recent times, but when you talk about work around the pitch, cleaning rucks, getting stuck in, he's the type of player that I like.
yeah. Look, maybe and you can say so for a lot of the guys pre Wellington, pre Durban, maybe even pre Auckland. That a lot of the guys, there were some guys that were iffy. They were not as
Yeah,
consistent as even Marks as well. So the doubters, they must just the guy he's paid his dues, and I think he'll come in, he'll slot right in, and we should see continued sort of performance, from lineup perspective. You know,
yeah.
those things don't flip again, but yeah, I'm glad to have him back because you feel a bit more secure, because he's if we but yeah, I'm glad he's back. I'm glad.
Yeah, and if you run down the team, it's Ox, Marks, Dutoy, Evan, Ruan Nokia, Sia at six. Peter Steph had a big game. He's there at seven. Jasper Visser.
Yeah,
Reina keeps his place. Sasha at 10 after a historic performance there. We've got Hooker, Dialendi, Caden Moody, Colby, Willemse, and then on the bench, Mbonambi, Vessels, Loosehead, Volcolo, RG,
mm,
Kwacha, Grant Williams, Lobok, Kriel. So that's the team all together.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, just if we're going to
yeah,
talk, ease our way into the week that was, great performance by the Box after a cagey start. It'll be remembered
yeah,
as the Sasha game. It's a breakout performance from him. And I mean, if we had to look at last week, the only thing that I had to say, he was retained after good start, went off injured, and then you had Lubbock that had a good game, but
Yes.
they chose to
Yeah.
keep Sacha in the team. And my only question at that time was, he had that good start, but like, are we gonna see a full performance in terms of minutes? It's not a full performance that I was expecting in terms of his gameplay, but it was just how long we were going to see him on the field, and
Yeah.
and he delivered on
Yeah.
that aspect.
No, he over delivered. He went above and beyond the Call of Duty.
Yeah.
you know, look, he did, eh? And I mean, it was good to see. Honestly speaking, like you say, KG start, yes. Because for a moment there in that first half, it looked like it was going to be one of those days, and you could even the little bit of the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It looked like it was going. It felt like it was going to be one of those days where you know these guys just need it. And with that, with the Kolbe era, it was just like, oh no, it's starting, and our own worst enemies, and just we're conspiring against ourselves. But I think the important thing, and mentioned it off the game, is how they responded.
Yeah.
Every time when Argentina hit a shot, they threw one right back, and I think it was good to see. It's been scoring before halftime, on the stroke of halftime, and scoring after halftime, setting the tone for the half as well. Where they just launched from there, and from there they just became unstoppable, really. Because for me it felt like there was a bit too much respect, between the two teams early
Yeah.
on. They were respecting each other too much up until they weren't. And we saw, with proper execution, which is one of the things that I was worried about. I think defensively as well, the guys, for me, the main thing was about the defense, particularly in the midfield, but we didn't allow them to play, which is what I
Mm.
wanted, to say, we just shut them down, don't give them the light of day. And we saw that. And then, yeah, you've got Sacha that's, taking the game by the scruff of the neck, saying, look, okay, let me showcase. And he did. And I see there's some parts or some people that are not particularly happy, um, where they're saying that he's selfish, this, that, and the other. All I'm saying is, all of us, think about it, right? As a kid growing up, wherever you dreamt of, whether it was playing for your first team or dreamt of even becoming a Bok or playing whatever at whatever level, the dream that
Yeah.
you had was no. The picture that you had was what Sasha was doing, balling out of control, coming into a game and being on 99%, like, when you create a player, you say, no, me, I'm a 99%
Yeah.
player, where I can everything. And that's what it is. So they must stop with the jealousy, and we know why, but, they must just, they must leave the kid alone, man. Let the kid play. He's living his dream. He's doing his thing, and he's entertaining us. At the end of the day, it was entertaining, you know?
Yeah, I think let's dig deeper into that because you've got a record breaking performance, 37
Mm.
points. No other box done this in a single match. Yet there's still
Yes.
complaints. There's still
Aye.
there's still complaints. So it begs the question now, what's really the issue? You've got people coming out and saying we need to keep him
We,
humble. We need to keep him humble. We need to keep him hungry. Why? Why do you feel the need to humble him? And even on
yeah,
the base of that statement, where has he not been humble? Where has he been arrogant?
yeah,
Point
yeah,
to me and
wait,
show
wait.
me where he's been arrogant, and then you can even have that
Nah,
discussion. But there's no evidence of it. All it is feelings. People are seeing this guy and
yes,
they're having feelings about him, but it's not backed up by any evidence to say that he's done this,
yeah,
therefore I feel this way. You've got that clip that's going around where they're saying Sasha's Windgat on the basis of what? On the basis of the way
of
that he looks,
what?
his haircut, and the
He's
way that he walks
confident.
around the field, and the way that he
He's
speaks, and
confident.
that's my thing. Is
He's confident.
yeah.
Uh,
So that's my issue. Is you can't like almost diagnose a problem that's not there. There are people that are saying no, he's going to get a big hit.
Yeah.
You're trying to diagnose something instead of celebrating the performance that was and living in
Yeah.
the moment of where we are now. They're saying we need to keep him humble. We
Yes.
need to keep him hungry. You're trying to rein in,
Why?
you know,
Why?
we all meant to shine like
Why?
children do.
Why?
You're supposed to let the guy
Yeah.
have his moments and have his enjoyment. And then,
Let
I
the
mean,
boys play.
yes. Let the boys play. And I mean, if we're going to go, let's go again into things where they're saying that chance, sorry, that try that he scored on halfway where he kicked it and it was him and Moody racing for the ball.
Yeah.
You've got Sacha putting his hand out to signal to Moody like, no,
Yeah.
I've got it. And to be fair, he was in front.
Yeah.
Now you've got people saying that
Yeah.
that was some kind of arrogance that he like shut down Moody.
Mm-mm.
When to me, that's
No,
just good communication to say otherwise we're just gonna run into each other. And he was ahead of
exactly.
Moody.
Yes, and you got there, quarters, you summed it up, good communication, because in another day, they say they don't talk and they botch
Yeah.
that. Everybody's saying the opposite. You know what I mean? So, look, they must just leave the boy alone, let the boy play. He had, and if you remember, quarters, even in the incoming series, where he wasn't quite at the form that he's showing now. He wasn't quite there, and rightly so. We called him out to say, no, look, he's not quite there. Here he is now. He's showing that, no, listen, I can't be the guy. You know, and all we're asking for is no, look, we need to see him back it up again next week. And even if he doesn't back it up to the same extent, you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Let him keep going, because he's a youngster and he's shown what he can do. He's shown his pedigree, he's shown that this is a guy that, he can win a game, when it's good to watch. And the people that
Yeah.
don't like to see that kind of thing on the rugby field, they must go watch another sport. And honestly speaking, they need to just the sport.
And you're talking about the incoming series. The reason why it wasn't a problem then was because he was playing fullback and he was replacing Villy Leroux. Now that he's replacing Pollard, all of a sudden there's issues with him in some form of another in a record-breaking
Yeah.
performance. But when he was taking over from Villy
But
Leroux and he was
have you
playing
seen
fullback,
when
it was acceptable then.
it was okay? Yeah. You see, and that's the thing, Coders, and it must be said, when we were not saying that we weren't, what people don't understand is your like or preference for a certain player or a certain type of attributes in a rugby player doesn't mean you dislike or you do not see the strengths of another player. It simply means
Exactly.
that you can see that, okay, this one is strong here, this one is strong there, and we were pointing it out between the two, Libbok, Pollard, and Libbok was told it was Mr. Never Again, he must never play, and what. And Wellington, he showed. You understand?
Yeah.
And then it was, okay, maybe we'll see Pollard, and people, say, no, Pollard. Didn't see him. Now we saw the young kid, and he showed, you know. Now then, you still want to find problems with that. The thing is, it's different types of number 10s that you've got
Yeah.
here, you know you must be pleased with the abundance, the riches of Africa, man. This is what you get. You
Yeah.
see, so it's honestly it's you know when we were bringing it up, we were race baiting, divisive, this, that, and the other. On the other side, it's no, these ones they've had too much brandy. No, we know what it is. We know the underlying thing, and it's not about, and the discussion will continue. We have to continue the discussion about it because the mindsets, they have to change. You need to understand it's a new era. There's going to be a new breed, different type of rugby players that we're going to be producing. All you need to do is just
Yeah.
watch schoolboy rugby, and you will see where the future of South African rugby is. That you can see that there's going to be different types of players, and there's going to be a lot of people that will not be happy because it changes their worldview of how historically the rugby
Yeah.
was. It's not those times anymore. It isn't. It's the
And
times for
I
these
mean,
kids to do what they do.
yeah. And for me, for example, I'm not the biggest Sacha fan, but what I can do is watch
Mm.
a performance objectively and say that there's no reason to be
Thank you.
complaining about this performance, 37 points record. There's no reason to
Thank
be
you.
complaining about it. When there are issues and things do arise, then sharp, complain then. But when there is no issue, why are you
Yes.
complaining? You've got people calling him selfish, and then you've got Rassie on the podium post match saying that we won this game due to moments of individual brilliance. So what you call selfish,
Mm.
the coach is calling it moments of individual brilliance that helped us win the game.
Yes.
So
Yeah. He helped the
it's
team. He did his
and
part. He
even
contributed.
for me, there's certain types of players I don't like. There's certain player profiles I don't like. I don't like boring players.
Yes.
But if a boring player
Yeah. You
has
see.
a solid game that I can say like, okay, no, this guy put together a performance.
Thank
I
you.
don't like lemon
Thank
and
you.
herb ballers. Me, I want spice. But
Yeah.
if a
Hey,
lemon and
what
herb
hot?
baller
What
can play,
hot?
yeah, then I can stand up and say, you know what, this guy had a good
Yeah.
performance,
For sure.
regardless of the way that I feel about
For
him.
sure.
But I'm not gonna do is
Yeah.
project all these things on him, like how they're projecting onto
Yeah.
Sasha to say, and I know it's a thing of they
Mm.
just don't like maybe the way he talks, the way he walks, his haircut, whatever it is that you don't like that you projecting to say now this is how he is. But the performance is the performance, and keep it at
Thank you.
that. You know, that's
Thank you.
that's where it begins and ends for me.
Yeah, and I mean, like we said a few weeks ago, quarters, we know we've got quality players, and we're
Yeah,
done making this debate. We were done with it with Lebok, where we said, and he came, Wellington, he showed. Even this game, he came on and he showed, and we were done with
yeah,
that. Now they're starting it with session. We're saying, listen, we're
yeah,
not going to have this debate. Leave the boy alone, let him play. He's still got many more years to go.
yeah,
God willing that he stays injury free, we're still gonna see a lot of him. You're still
yeah,
gonna see a lot of him. So you might as well turn off now. You might as well turn off now. That's all I'm saying. You might as well turn off now. If
yeah,
you don't like Windgat or whatever it is that the establishment, because those guys are the
mm,
establishment. You understand, the ones that we are always, those are the things that we are talking about. If people didn't understand,
mm,
that's where we're going right to source, to say no,
yeah,
those ones, and they came out and they showed themselves, and that's why you have to love social media, because you know people will say things, we're not afraid to
yeah.
say what we want to say. It's our opinions, you know what I mean, but we will defend our own. That's all I'll say every time, but we keep it moving.
We
Let's
move
talk
on.
about the
We
game,
move on.
Chris. Talk
Yeah,
about the game,
that's
man. What a game. What a
what a
game,
game.
man. It had
What a game.
everything. It had everything. It had everything.
Yeah, just going to the game, the backdrop of the game, Ox forced out late. Then Bowen Venter came into the starting lineup. Van Staden there as a hooker, but I think we all knew he wasn't going to play hooker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, even to the whole thing about the late changes, Rassie constantly does these late changes. We saw Ox hobbling off at halftime, knee strapped. So
Yeah.
it's not a surprise, and he's played a lot of game. So yeah, and then when Van Staden came in, you know it's gonna be a thing of this. To me, is a now we're really gonna see Vessels cover hooker and prop, and then we're
Mm.
gonna have an
Mm.
extra loose forward. I thought it was a tactical change, and they probably knew Ox was gonna drop out like earlier in the week.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they knew on Thursday because
Yeah,
uh yeah, the spies were out on Thursday, There was a sighting somewhere out in the evening time. So I think they already knew. They already knew. No, I won't say
yeah.
too much because but
We've got sources on the ground,
no,
but
we know we will.
we've got sources on the ground. Other things, Sasha left early, kept at 10, just carrying over into this game. And then you've got Vissa for me, restarts. If we start right from the beginning, restarts.
Yeah,
How good has he been coming into the team? And
yeah,
it just sets us up so good for what we want to do in terms of territory, progressing the ball forward. If you can the exit and the restart is half of that issue. If you
yeah,
can receive the ball, make a few meters, box kick, then you're already on the halfway line. And that's kind of where
Yeah.
we want to play. If you looked at a lot of the tries that we scored, it's us getting possession on the halfway line because we really want to play them kicking from the 22 and then we play there. But as long as we're
Yeah.
on the halfway line, that's kind of where we're looking to play. The
Can
only
play.
failure that I think that we had was that Kobus Reinach had a number of poor box kicks. I think I counted about
He did.
four. And for example, he would have wanted to kick it, keep it in play for us to compete, to get
Yeah.
Hooker to compete in the air, but it's going out. Then all of a sudden now we on the back foot, we under pressure. So that was the only thing where I can say that if you look at the start, it was a cagey start. We did have good
Mm.
line speed, but we were offside sometimes. The box kicks weren't good sometimes. And then credit
Yeah.
to Argentina, I feel like the first half they just did an excellent job at disrupting whatever we wanted to do.
Yeah. No, absolutely, quarters. And I think, and I think that's why I was saying there was a bit of, for me, I just felt there was a bit too much respect between the two teams, and early on, feeling each other out. You could see it was a heavyweight clash, in that
Mm.
sense. People may not rate Argentina, I do, in the sense because we know that they've toppled over many a giant, so from that aspect, yes, but I think really if you look at the physicality, number one, that the box brought, if you just go rewatch that and you see even the intent in the carries,
Yeah,
it was a continuation of Wellington, really, of that second half in Wellington to say, okay, we back at our strengths. And for me, the key part as well, I felt that the loose trio, this is our best loose trio, very
yeah,
balanced. Peter Steph for me is so big, so immense. I actually, as much as Sacha had a blind of a game, and yes, man of the
yeah,
match because of the points scored, Peter Steph for me was my man of the match. In
yeah,
terms of he was just everywhere. He's back to being that guy, and it's taken him a bit of time, a few games to get there. But look, when he's on song, more often than not, the ball gonna get the result. And it's a well balanced loose trio, and then even just from the tight five, you saw even this one carry from Boa and Feinter as well, where there was just so much physical intent to say, okay, we have to physically get over these guys, because
yeah,
you give them that little sniff, they start getting that momentum, they start getting that passion, and then all of a sudden you're playing on the back foot, which at certain times we were finding ourselves where they were catching us, where we were on the back foot, but we quickly recovered, and for me that's a key part in it, is that we quickly recovered. It wouldn't be too happy
yeah,
with the points conceded, yes, but overall, I mean, quarters, like you say, the restarts were big. Controlling of the set piece, controlling of the line out. Scrums always be a lottery, but the basics, once
yeah,
the basics are being executed the way that they're supposed to be, it just flows from there, because then everybody just continuously moving forward, everybody's on the front foot, and they can play, and that's what we saw on the weekend. Honestly speaking, there's
yeah,
for me, there's nothing more than that. Defensively, yes, we were good. Can be better, because I don't like. Yes, we beat them 67, but we still conceded 30 points. So
yeah.
you don't want to do that, but obviously the shine, will obviously gloss over that, but there's still those little work-ons, that you can't afford
Yeah,
to.
if you're gonna look at, moving into this weekend, they're gonna look at that first half and say we can't let them disrupt us this much, and then we
Yeah,
can't disrupt our own selves this much because you
yeah,
think about trying to progress the ball, get up the field, you've got a high tackle. We get
mm,
a line out on halfway. Sasha goes before the ball, before the ball's over the 15-meter, he
yes,
goes and it's a penalty.
yes,
Reinach, his kicking is not good. So, it's those things where they'll want to cut out to say that these are the things that are the enemies of our progress right now. So, and that's where
yeah,
Argentina were feasting, and that's where Argentina were they had good ruck speed and they were throwing the ball around and it
yeah,
was working. And they got into our 22 a number of times. They scored those points. And
yeah,
I'd say we're even lucky to the point that the way that we disrupted their lineouts in our 22, we were lucky because
Yes.
in that first half they had a lot of opportunities in our 22. It was only like
Yeah.
the marks on halftime where Marks got the yellow card that they were finally able to put together a decent line out in our 22. So you can't
Yeah.
rely on the fact that we're gonna beat them for a jumper. So yeah, so I'd say that is the major takeaway in terms of what we can do in terms of improvement. Because offsides also we had good line speed, but the guys were getting caught
Yes.
offside.
Mm.
Uh, yeah. Besides that, I have to say, like we always say, it's not a refereeing podcast, but the referee didn't seem to have control, and I mean control in terms of like it's halftime, but then it's not halftime. It's
Yeah.
held up, but then it's a yellow card and it's a
Yeah.
penalty try. And then I know you can get a call from the TMO and you can change your decision, but it doesn't look like you have a good control of the game when you keep
Yes.
changing calls. You keep
Mm.
changing calls.
Mm.
You keep bringing. I know. You also said that it went off in his ear where he didn't have communication with the TMO. But you need to have the illusion that you're in control of what's going on. And when you keep on
Yes.
changing things, it's not a good sign to the players that you're
Yeah.
trying to keep under control. Essentially,
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's where it opens up. I mean, you could even see, I think, is it the one where I think at the one line out where he was trying to talk to, where he was trying to talk to what you call this, it's a bit, you know, and at the line out, walked away from him, and things like that where you can see where the players are not even responding to you,
yeah,
the ref. So yeah, I understand what you're saying in that aspect, Quarters. I understand completely what you're saying, So, but at the end of the day, look, you also want the right calls to be made. Sometimes the right calls will be against your team, So
yeah,
yeah, it is going to happen, but it goes back to the thing that we always talk about, the inconsistencies of the application of the laws of rugby. I think it'll forever be, a problem, and the different referees. Some games will scare guys, in
yeah,
this in that sense where they're like, no, no, I don't want to, yeah, I don't want to be the guy that. So I'd rather make sure or allow somebody else to make a decision for me. So,
yeah.
but at the end of the day, I think there's nothing really you can highlight and say, no, the referee, in this
Yeah, I mean,
aspect, you need the number. So,
it's just the
yeah.
only thing for me was the time the guy stepped over the ruck and kicked the ball out of
Yeah,
Reinach's hands.
yes,
Because
that's a
then he's
yellow
saying
card.
like it's not it's like it's a mistake. A lot of the times it doesn't matter if you high tackle someone. You can say it's like it's a mistake. Like I
Yeah, I'd
didn't
say
mean
it's
to
a
do it.
mistake.
It
Yes.
doesn't matter. You still need to go by. And to be honest with you, it looked like he was looking at the ball
He
and did
was.
it on purpose.
No, no,
So
he
either
was.
way, but I'm not gonna, like I said, it's these are not like huge things in the big scheme of the game. My thing is, it's just control. You want the at least the illusion of
Yeah,
control, and you want it to be
yeah,
like you can change your mind, but you want to go with the mindset of the first thing that I say should most likely be the
yeah,
decision. You don't want to be changing things, changing things, changing things.
yeah. No,
Yeah, but
correct,
moving on from
correct.
that, Kolbe, a bit of a lost his head there. Lost his head
No,
with the
no,
restart.
he's allowed. He's allowed. Leave him alone.
I mean, I'm
You
just
leave him
talking
alone.
moments in the game. Again, I mean, it's even like with Reina. I'm not saying drop the
Yeah,
guy or whatever. It's
yeah,
just we
no, for
need to
sure,
discuss
Chris.
these points and say that
Yeah,
this was something that happened. It's
it,
it's something that happened. He lost his head
yeah,
in there, and I mean, like you said, we did good. I think from that moment to kick off, Sacha letting
yeah,
the referee know we still have 4 seconds to play.
yes.
Then we go and we play. And then it seemed like
Kick
from that
off,
moment
contest the
on,
ball. Very
yeah, and it
good.
was Moody. Moody did well in contesting. He did well in contesting a number of times. And
Yes,
it was very valuable. These are things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but ultimately they provide huge momentum shifts in the game. And I felt like
yeah.
from that moment, we were able to kick on and we were able to play the type of game we wanted with the contesting the ball. And then they give the ball back to us, and that's when we play. You saw they kick the ball
Then
back to us. Willemse takes it, goes down, Peter Steph to Toy up the flank there, and then we can play from
Yeah,
there. So it seemed like
yeah,
we kicked on from that Kolbe moment, and then we kind of got into the gear now where we're playing.
yeah, yeah. And you got and that's what you want to see. Actually, is basically it was the team rallying around a veteran, a guy he's done so much already in a short space of time that he's been a Bok for the team.
Yeah,
So just that response, and also again the youngsters stepping up. You saw, like you say, Moody leading the chase. Moody on defense as well. I think
yeah, something.
defense is getting better and better at 13. All those little things. Yeah, look, we can talk about all the tries and stuff, which is great. But if you're looking at the sort of intangible, you can't really, you can only measure by watching the tape. You
Yeah,
can see that, no, this is the impact that this guy is bringing into the team. The work rate that he's got as well, and it's a simple fact is that there's nothing really too fancy about what the Springboks are doing. It's
yeah,
basically the same formula, just better intensity. you know, Better intensity. There's a bit more clarity about it, more willingness to move the board around, more willingness to run. But the fundamentals still remain the same. The box kick is still there. The set piece is still there. And we saw once you get your set piece right, things where we struggled in Auckland, and maybe you got caught out against Australia from a defensive point of view. But once you sort out those things, it's
yeah,
your platform to play, and
yeah,
that was the platform and the freedom that the guys, that the guys played with. And what more do you want as a coach? What more do you want as a support, as a fan base? Really, yes, the more that you want is you just want them to. Here's the thing: now you become a victim of your success because now like remember, like we said last week, they put the bar, they
yeah,
set it back where it should be. They backed it up this coming week. I think is this past weekend they backed it up in the championship, the first team to win back to back. So
yeah,
and now they need to do it again and just keep on being consistent. And
yeah.
and, and that's the championship. We're done.
Yeah, there's just
So
one more
not
time, and it's just gonna be again how they deal with the disruptions that Argentina is gonna bring. Because Argentina are
yes,
gonna say, okay, where can we disrupted them well enough, but we need to sustain that. And on our end, especially for me, Sasha's performance was big in terms of points and creativity and play. But for me,
mm,
the part I enjoyed about it was that he dug himself out of a hole because he wasn't necessarily having a good first half. So,
yes,
and I mean, that goes for the team
and
as well.
yeah,
That goes for the team as well as a
yeah,
whole to say that we couldn't get
yes,
out of first gear. We faced adversity, but we were able to dig ourselves out and then play. And then you saw them.
yeah,
The Sasha was putting in the bombs or he was doing the cross kick. Lubok,
cross
good
kicks,
cameo. Same thing. And then, like you said,
mm,
once we do that,
yeah.
then we can play. You see Lubok spreading the ball. You see him having fun. That's when you can start to say, just other guys that came in. Faf Light, good performance. He came in, up the tempo,
But
good kicks.
you see how actually because for Renach was becoming a bit stale
Yeah,
in that game, where he had done what he needed to do up until he did what he needed to do up until that point, and without the tempo coming in, you don't get the 67 points.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
For me, I felt like he was big coming on, made a big difference. Lebok as well, yes. The Kwacha RG,
yeah. RG was
the
also big.
bench worked.
Yeah, as we were saying, the bench and the impact that those guys had.
Yeah, yeah. Look, yeah, I think it is big, and you saw the tempo that came on. And then it was just that continuity, and that's on the back of the basics being executed. And I think the other thing is how can I say subdue and penetrate, because I think Argentina by that time they were subdued. They
Yeah,
didn't have an answer for the box. They didn't. I think they were even surprised by what the Green Machine threw at them in this game. Just in terms of that intensity and yeah, just the overall focus. Especially after the sort of slow start, if you want to call it that, But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, moving into this week, I think they'll just try and have a better start because once they get into gear, and you look at the contest on the field, Hawks
yeah,
just they're gonna have it. They're gonna have it. It's just
yeah.
avoid just avoid any problems. Avoid any problems, and we'll piece
Yes,
together a good performance. There's no
yes.
in terms of the permutations and so on and so forth. I think it's the Boxers have to win. That's it. Well, depending on the All
Just
Blacks,
have
I'm
to win.
assuming that the All Blacks are going to
Yeah.
win.
I think Australia will beat them. I think Australia will beat
Hopefully,
them. I think
yeah,
Australia
hopefully,
will beat them, but they've got their own issues that side. They no longer. We are now slowly becoming. Like we've always been calling for quarters. We want the dynasty. And for a moment it was looking shaky. You know, as things go, yes, there will be issues, but it's looking like it's stabilizing again, and the
yeah,
guys are on the same page. And if you remember quarters, remember we spoke about the whole thing where it was like, no, these guys maybe preseason and whatnot, in terms of from a Bok point of view, and it looks like they started hitting their straps at the right time. Yes, of
yeah,
course, the different personnel being used, but I think it's just something to note, and it'll be interesting to see if they'll be able
yeah,
to, after the championship, maintain that going into Europe, because that's the big one. The France, the islands, those are the ones that we want, to really shut them up as well. But yeah, man, when the Boks are winning, it's good. Even if they're not winning, we still need to talk about the things. We still need to.
yeah, yeah. I think just on that point that you made, I think sometimes coaches find themselves in a position where you don't know which is your best team, and I think we found
Yeah,
out which our best team
yeah.
is, at least for now. At least for
For
now,
now,
we've discovered,
yes.
and then now we're gonna take it through and see where we can go with this team. And unfortunately, that means some guys falling out. But fortunately for other guys, it means them coming in. And I think we just have to adjust to the fact that this is the best for now, and
Yeah.
we just need to continue like that. And if guys
Mm,
fall in, fall out, you've still got guys that are injured that might come back. Like you, for example, you've got like an Arendse coming back, who,
yeah.
who would have thought that Arendse would be left out of the team? Who would have thought that
Yes.
a Dialendi or a Kriel would have been left out of the team?
Yes.
Now we have a situation where we've got what looks like our strongest team. So for
Mm.
me, I wouldn't necessarily try and disrupt that.
Nah, also not. I think consistency selection, that's what you want, to build that momentum.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to see. And I mean, it's basically almost going to be 3 games back to back,
Yeah.
that we'll see more or less the same kind of 23, with a few changes here and there, but and that's why the results are coming through, So yeah, look, we're happy, man. And then at
Yeah.
least the Durban thing has been well and truly exercised, So yeah.
Yeah. URC, just to touch quickly on games, Stormers
Oh,
versus
there was
Leinster.
USC quarters.
Yeah, there was, believe it or not, there was URC. Uh, Stormers, just quickly on them, looked like they had a good preseason. They were together.
Yeah,
They looked like it was a good preseason. They knew what they were doing. Strong set piece. Matongo did well against
yeah,
French international. Got the points. I think that's all you can really say about the Stormers. Similani also good at 15.
Leinster got
Bulls
bonused, bro. Imagine
0 points.
Leinster got bonused, and they also got freaking zeroed. That's a first, That's a first. I saw a thing where they say that it's a first since, I don't know. It's been a while, eh?
Yeah, a number of
It's
years. A
been a while.
number of years.
Yeah,
Bulls versus Osprey. They look the opposite of the Stormers in that the team just looks disjointed, and I think that's obviously because of the coaching change there. Johan Ackerman coming in, and
yeah,
it's not. It's very disjointed. It's very yeah. It's just piece, broken play, broken play. The only thing that got them over the line is the fact that they've got that muscle that can get
yeah,
them over the line, and the quality of players. And Marcel
yeah,
Coetzee did his thing. You know, he's making the
No, it's
bull
good for the Bulls.
supporters.
No, it's good for the Bulls.
I think the same for David Kriel. Don't ever tell me that you want to see David Kriel in a Bok jersey after that first try. You got
Wait a
cooked. You
minute.
got cooked, man.
Wait a
But
minute.
yeah, I don't think there's much else there. Sharks, Hendricks
Yeah,
at 10, he didn't go bad, but I think it's the classic South African teams playing against Warriors where like you there and they're about and then they just break away at the end.
yeah. They break away, and the thing is, look, I'm not saying Hendricks had a bad outing at 10, but the thing is that I for me, you're playing against a team like Warriors, he's limited in terms of what he is going to give you at 10, from, the ability to, to attack the line, put guys into space. Yeah, he'll give you the fundamentals, but this is a situation you find yourself in. And I can
Yeah,
see why. I can see why, after the Bok game, there was that picture and people are saying, no, no, no. Uh, but yeah, I can see why you need that type of
yeah,
at 10 at the Sharks. I was I was hoping Masuku would be, yeah, okay, he's injured, but I was hoping that by now he would have been, revving at the
yeah,
but yeah, that stock for me it wasn't so good. And for me, the Sharks is better in terms of you can see there's a shape in terms of how they want to attack. They need to tweak that a little bit because it's too much arcing. It's too much
yeah,
arcing, no straight running. Because the first trial, Edwell, yes, he ended up straightening it. That's why he was able to score that. But the more they try to do that too many times and there was nobody coming straight, it's just yeah, there's a lot of issues there, that they still need to fix. And I repeat what I said last week. If they do not, if Plum doesn't get results, he doesn't get silver where the season is going,
yeah.
because there's too much at stake for the Sharks, just, yeah. But alas, it was away, it was at Glasgow. Good start, it looked good.
Yeah.
There was some promise. They pulled away, and these guys are a championship team, you know.
That's why I say you
So
can't you can't
yeah,
really, and they're basically at full strength. You can't complain too much.
yeah,
Uh, so you can't to be too critical, especially with the injuries. What I will say though is Edwell, I mean, for the first try, you saw that tackle or fight on the ground to put the ball down. Those are like the
yeah,
extra things
yeah,
that
I know.
make you a Bok. He's got those extra
Yeah,
attributes, that fight in him that makes him.
yeah,
He had a good debut for the Sharks. I think even for the
absolutely.
other try, he showed. Although I will say the Sharks defend still a bit narrow, even with a guy like him that can operate well in the structure. The structure still looks a bit off. Uh, but
Yeah,
yeah, like you said, it's a work in progress. Lions, Lions, we tried. That's all I'll say is we tried. Um, Jerseys, nice
yeah. Look, they
jerseys,
tried,
but
but hey, those screw jerseys. No, those ones. Look, hey, those are good fashion statements. I like. I might even get one. I might even get one of those for a day out. Yeah, I like the colors. Code. I like.
even the Stormers jersey, I won't lie, it's tempting me. If you see me in a Stormers jersey, mind your business.
But look, first round, look, you can only just hope that our teams can start because again, it's that thing that we've been talking about is the guys going away and winning away. That
Yeah,
needs to start. You don't want to fall into the old Super Rugby habits where yeah, you go away, you go on tour, and you maybe once in a blue moon you're winning all your tour games, or once in a blue moon you're winning one or two. There needs to be that step up in that aspect, and that's what you want to see from all the franchises. Because now, yes, URC is back, so we back all our teams against the oppositions, against all the others. But yeah, man, hopefully we can have a better week, the second round.
closing remarks. Closing remarks.
Box to do it, box to bring it home, man. That's my closing remarks. Box to bring it home, and actually, let the boys play. Let the boys play.
It's coming home. It's coming home. That's what you guys. Thanks for listening.